All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Waharacha Kodash. I want to give double honors to our apostles and our elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace and salutations and many blessings to you elect Akim across the four winds of this earth, fighting a good fight, holding fast to the faith for the kingdom that's to come, glorifying the names of Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. I want to do a lesson, and it's in regards to the time that's really approaching us and how we might be going through things here and there. Well, not even might be. Fuck that. We're going through things, okay? Whether it might be greater for certain brothers might not be going through things certain other brothers might not be going through. At the end of the day, we all have things that we're going through. We all are running the course of this fiery trial. We're all running the race. All right, and we need to just constantly remember and consider the fact that, hey, man, we don't really have it that bad right now, man. We really don't. Okay, I understand we go through certain things, talking to myself first and foremost, but it could be a lot worse. All right, and according to the scriptures, it is going to get a lot worse. It's going to get a whole lot worse, man. All right, Esau's not playing games. He's really pushing his mark of the beast to the fullest. All right, and as much as we believe prophecies are taking place, we can't forget, man, this chip is coming. All right, so prepare to really suffer. Prepare to really struggle. Prepare for your faith to really be tried. Because that day that's approaching, as it's written in Daniel the 12th chapter, and I'll get it, it far, far, far exceeds anything that we've experienced, anything that our fathers have experienced. All right? It's a time that has never been seen amongst the face of this earth. So are we really ready for that? We have to really sit back and ask ourselves and really truly examine ourselves, as the scriptures say in Ecclesiastes, the 18th chapter. I believe it's in Sirach 18 and 30. If I'm wrong, Salakia. But before judgment, examine thyself. All right? Yeah, we got faith now. And it's cool. It's beautiful to have faith. But are we willing to keep that faith when that day truly comes? That's where prayer really takes place. Constant meditation, constant prayer without ceasing. All right? We have to make sure that we really built up for when that day comes. It's not going to be an easy walk, man. When you got children and you see in the faces of your children starving, all right, your family starving, it's really going to be tough. But you have to believe that Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is going to take care of you in that day. We have to believe that Yahweh Yahweh Shai is going to take care of us when that day comes. All right. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 12. Give me one sec, Baba Kashaw. This is Daniel chapter 12, verse 1. And it says, "And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since was a nation, even to the same time." Okay, so the time that's coming is a time that existence has never experienced before. Existence has never experienced the time that's prophesied to come. All right. You can think back into the time of when Nebuchadnezzar and his forces had taken Jerusalem down and burned it with fire, and really just imagine what Jake was going through. Look at the time when Ahab was king and Samaria went through that drought, that famine, right? When Jake was eating their children. Jake was eating their children, man. The time that's coming is going to be worse than that. Look when Antiochus and the rest of those Edomites had taken Jerusalem down, man. And the stuff you read about in the Maccabees. Look at the siege of Jerusalem in 70 AD under Titus, Vespasian, and Domitian. When you look at all the history and the things that was taking place, the state of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, namely so-called Negroes, because we know the Southern Kingdom was up there around that time. But the time that's coming is going to exceed that by far. And when you look at the ancient men and how they stood in great boldness when they were presented in front of Pharaohs That's how we need to be. Those men deserve acknowledgement. Those men deserve recognition. Those men endured. All right. When you really read about the hardships that those men had went through, man, we really have to sit back and consider to ourselves, we ain't been through nothing yet. When you look at what those ancient prophets went through, starting with Yahushua, we really have to sit back and really be more grateful. Because we ain't been through none of that stuff yet. But oh, best believe, our faith is going to be tried. And that's just the reality of it. All right. Now we understand the scriptures say some of you all might not taste death, which is true. But some of us are going to die the death of martyrs. And that's just the reality of it. And we have to really just sit back and think about that. Really prepare ourselves to know, really pray that we will be ready for when that day comes. If we're going to be of those martyrs. This is the book of Hebrews. And I was reading this earlier today. And it really just hit me when I read this, man. Really just made me sit my ass down. Excuse my language. But made me really just sit my ass down and really just think to myself like, man, I got to be more grateful. This is Hebrews chapter 11. And I'm going to read verse 35. And when you read this whole chapter pulls up an abundance of different examples of the ancient men and how they persevered through certain situations due to faith. This whole chapter is based on faith. And when you start on the top of it, it says in Hebrews 1:1, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. When you go into that word hope, that word means expecting of something good. All right. We go through these things. We teach, we preach, we confess the names of Yahweh, Yahushua, because we expect the kingdom to come. And that's what we hope for. We know it's going to come soon, but we hope to be through that number. All right. You might not see the kingdom in front of you, but you believe it's coming. We've never seen Yahushua with bodily eyes, or we haven't seen a lot of those things that those ancient men have seen with bodily eyes, but we believe it through the spirit. All right. It says the evidence of things hoped for. Evidence of things not seen. Okay. Evidence, when you look at evidence is usually, according to today's status quo, is something that you have to see. For example, if there's an investigation that happens and you want to solve the mystery to the story, you accumulate the evidence and that helps you solve it. All right. But that evidence is something that's tangible to these people that are out here. All right. But faith is something that's not tangible. All right. The evidence of things not seen. So we believe on these things by faith through what was written. And these ancient men, when you read about this whole chapter, these men just believed and they walked by it. All right. And these are high level spiritual men that's within this chapter. OK, so when you go all the way down again, it goes into a plethora of our ancient forefathers and the things that they went through and how they persevered through their situations due to having faith in Yahweh, Yahushua. OK, so when you jump down from Hebrews chapter 11 verse, I'm gonna read in start at verse 34. It says, well, matter of fact, I'm gonna just start at verse 33. It says, who through faith subdued kingdoms, wrought righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions. And who does that sound like? All right, Daniel was in the lions den, right? He didn't get mauled by lions. It says, who through faith subdued kingdoms. Who did that? You can read about that with Abraham when the slaughter of the kings. And there's other examples. Look at David. Okay. It says wrought righteousness, obtained promises. That sounds like Moses to me. Okay. There's an abundance of different men that had persevered through situations due to their faith in Yahweh, Yahushua. We need to have that same exact faith as those ancient men had. Okay. And when those men were presented in front of troubles, that's when their faith was really, truly tested. And that's when they were rewarded. It says in verse 34, quench the fire, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, escaped the edge of the sword, out of weaknesses were made strong, waxed valiant in fight, turned to flight the armies of aliens. Okay, so these are all the deeds that was done through faith. Okay, and we have to believe that let me rephrase this. Okay, does that not apply to us? Were these not men that were in the flesh that believed in Yahweh? Why Yahushua? So with that being the case, that applies to us as well if we believe that same exact way. But the only way your faith is truly going to be tested is for those extreme measures to be prevented in front of you. So with those extreme measures placed in front of you, there was extreme faith involved and extreme action take place and extreme miracles that taken place. All right. But some men, at the end of the day, certain men, they died presented in front of it. But did they lose the faith? Absolutely not. And does that mean those men won't be rewarded? No, those men will be rewarded greatly. The men that died for it. We have to come to the reality that a lot of us aren't going to make it. All right. When I say aren't going to make it, I don't mean into the chariot. Of course, we understand that, hey, at the end of the day, the elect are going to be delivered. But there's a not even possibility, guarantee that a large portion of the election are going to die on this side. All right. And what's going to make them elect, of course, from the foundations of the earth, but how they handle death when it's presented in front of them, how they handle perils when it's presented in front of them, to look death right into the face, man. All right. The scriptures say strive for the truth unto death. OK, now check this out here in verse 35. It says, women received their dead raised to life again, and others were tortured, not accepting deliverance that they might obtain a better resurrection. All right. So you look at these men that were tortured. They were tortured afar off. All right. Look at those ancient men. This was 1,000 years ago. All right. Knowing that they weren't going to see the kingdom of heaven right there at that time. And they still were martyrs, man. We know that we in the end. We know that we in the end. But it's certain little things that we go through. And Jake want to complain and act as such. It happens to all of us, but we have to really just think back at our ancient forefathers and how they handled those situations. We need to be like that, man. Had that ancient manly mindset. Check this out in verse 36, man. Verse 36 and verse 37 was really heavy because, again, this chapter is going into faith and these men that had showed faith. OK, so verse 36 says, and others had trial of cruel mockings and scourgings. Yea, moreover, of bonds and imprisonment. There were men that was thrown in jail. Look at the Apostle John. He died in jail. He received the revelation of Yahushua Mashiach when he was in jail, when he was in prison in the island of Patmos. Verse 37, they were stoned. They were sawn asunder. Now, hold on, man. These were men that died in the faith. Look death in the face, but it said sawn asunder. Check this out. This is the word sawn asunder in the Greek.
Strong's G 4249. Prizo. Thayer's lexicon, related entry. Prio.
Okay, so that's sawn asunder, right? So when you read it, of course, it's self-explanatory, and this is applying to the men of the Lord. All right. This is what was presented in front of certain guys. So just like it was presented in front of certain guys, we have to understand and really consider this could be presented in front of us too. So we need to act as such as these ancient men did. But this is what sawn asunder means. It means to saw, to cut in two with the saw. There were certain men that was sawed in half, man. Testifying in the Lord, testifying of Yahushua, man, sawn in half. It says to be sawn asunder was a kind of punishment among the Hebrews, which according to tradition was inflicted on the prophet Isaiah. So when you read this, this is how Isaiah died, man. Now, it doesn't say it verbatim according to the scriptures that Isaiah was sawn asunder. But when you research it, of course, it said it was in the Talmud. You know what I'm saying? But it was also in other articles that I read on here. But when I read it, it said under the reign of King Manasseh, which was King Hezekiah's son, Isaiah was tortured under the rule of King Manasseh, and he was put to death by Saul. He was cut in half, man. All right. And you see how wicked that motherfucker Manasseh was. All right. Which Salakia, because he has a book in the Apocrypha where he was repenting, but it made my blood boil thinking about it. But at the same time, it really made me sit back and consider how much of a cruel, unusual death sentence that was, man. Being cut in half And Esau's way more extreme, way more extreme, way more unordinary than a lot of these ancient men, those ancient men that had killed our fathers, the prophets, man. So if we know that Esau's way more extreme, it's hard to even fathom the stuff that this devil has in store for the men that are on the highways and byways, man. So are we really ready? Better pray to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah to be ready. All right? When that chip gets pushed, it ain't going to be no easy walk. But if we have faith like these ancient men had faith, we going to persevere. And if we die within this ministry, that's a glorious death. And we're going to be the first ones risen up, man. Call halal Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah for that. Call halal Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah that this opportunity will possibly be presented in front of us to really be back, have our backs against that wall and still call on the name of the Lord, man. Now, that's a hell of an opportunity right there, if I may say so. Lord willing, the Spirit stays on myself and other brothers to keep this mindset. If we have that number that could be called to be those martyrs. Yahweh Shah was a martyr. All right. He suffered a shameful death. And he's the most glorious out of all of us. So whether you get beamed up into the chariot without tasting death, or whether death is in front of you, to die that death within having faith in Yahweh Shah is a beautiful thing, man. I'm going to continue. It says, they were stoned, they were sawn asunder, they were tempted, were slain with the sword. They wandered about in sheepskin and goatskin, being destitute, afflicted, and tormented, of whom the world was not worthy. They wandered in deserts and in mountains and in dens and in caves of the earth. All right. So these people that do this, that did this stuff, they're gonna have to hold account for what they did to the prophets within that day. Best believe those wicked niggas that killed the prophets are back here today. And these wicked Edomites that had aided those wicked niggas are back here today too. And they're going to try it just like they tried it back then. But the moral of this is we got to make sure that our faith is intact when it's presented in front of us. That's what's going to separate the men from the boys. All right. And yeah, we're doing these lessons. I'm sitting down outside right now. Comfort of my own home, talking. But at the end of the day, it's still going to take place. And Lord willing, the Spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah stays on us when that time truly gets tough. When we ain't going to be in the comfort of our own home. When we going to be hungry. We're going to be thirsty. All right? We're going to be witnessing some crazy shit going on, man. It's going to be some shit that's about to happen, man. Isaiah was cut in half, bro. We got to keep in our storage banks and our minds that ain't none of us excluded from judgment. And whatever perils are presented in front of us, we got to make sure that we keep the faith of Yahweh Yahweh Shah. Glorify him unto death. This is Proverbs chapter 24, verse 10. It says, if thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small. So check this out, man. We ain't even touched the day of adversity yet. And you got Jakes falling out the camps from little stuff that they going through. They got cursed out a little bit. They got rebuked. They hungry. They got a flat tire. But the day of adversity ain't even came yet, man. So what we're doing right now through the Spirit, or what Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah is doing to us through the Spirit, he's getting us ready. He's getting our faith built up, getting us ready for that time that's to come. That's what he's doing through the Spirit. He's going to make sure that at the end of the day, the election are going to be ready. Okay? But we got to really sit back and consider and really be more grateful that we ain't really going through these things yet, man. So take advantage of the opportunity at hand to glorify the Lord, to teach. Okay? Go out and glorify the Lord so he'll build us up. So he'll build our faith up more. So if we are presented in front of those perils, which a lot of us are, we'll be able to persevere through it. Okay? We ain't even suffered under death yet, man. We ain't even suffered under blood yet. Matter of fact, that's in Hebrews 12. And through the Spirit, I'll get that. Let's see here. This is Hebrews chapter 12, verse 4. Ye have not yet resisted unto blood, striving against sin. And ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as children. My son, despise not thou the chastening of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked by him. Okay? So even when you look at those ancient men that was tortured, okay, like what I just read in Hebrews 11 chapter, all right, sawn asunder, stone, that's a rebuking of the Lord. That's a chastening of the Lord. And it shows you how extreme Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai can get, man. All right. But also, too, when you look far beyond the perils that's coming, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai has something far more greater than us. But we have to see it in front of us. We have to see it. Even though we don't see it within our bodily eyes, we have to believe that's coming. So if death is presented in front of us, man, screw it, man. Again, it says, ye have not yet resisted unto blood. So we ain't even touched blood yet. Daniel 12 again says there's a time that's coming that's way worse than before. Lord willing, we're going to be ready in that day, man. We have to make sure and constantly examine ourselves, constantly pray to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai that we're going to be ready in that day. We got to constantly pray that we're going to have strength in that day, constantly pray that we're going to have more faith within that day, because that day is coming soon, man. We're in the year of prophecy. We see prophecies popping off like wildfire, man. All the stuff going on in Damascus right now, man. All this prophecy being fulfilled. This is the time for us, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, for our faith to get built up more and more and more. So we will have that impenetrable armor when that day comes, pursuant to Ephesians the 6th chapter. It says, above all, take ye the shield of faith. Above all these things, make sure you have the faith to be able to withhold in that day, to be able to withstand in that day that's coming. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Waharachak Wadash. Double honors to our apostles and our elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace and salutations and many blessings to you. Like the Aki, I'm kicking this word of sincerity and truth. Keep fighting. Keep confessing. Keep doing these lessons. Keep leading by example. Prophesy. Confess. Keep the faith. Shalom.